Law 29. Plan all the way to the end. The ending is everything. Plan all the way to it, taking into account all the possible consequences, obstacles, and twists of fortune that might reverse your hard work and give the glory to others. By planning to the end, you will not be overwhelmed by circumstances, and you will know when to stop. Gently guide fortune and help determine the future by thinking far ahead. In 415 BC, the ancient Athenians attacked Sicily, believing their expedition would bring them riches, power, and a glorious ending to the 16-year Peloponnesian War. They did not foresee that the Sicilians would fight all the harder since the battles were in their own homeland, or that all of Athens' enemies would band together against them, or that war would break out on several fronts, stretching their forces way too thin. The Sicilian expedition was a complete disaster, leading to the destruction of one of the greatest civilizations of all time. The Athenians were led into this disaster by their hearts, not their minds. They saw only the chance of glory, not the dangers that loomed in the distance. Most men are ruled by the heart, not the head. Their plans are vague, and when they meet obstacles they improvise. But improvisation will only bring you as far as the next crisis, and is never a substitute for thinking several steps ahead and planning to the end. According to the cosmology of the ancient Greeks, the gods were thought to have complete vision into the future. They saw everything to come, right down to the intricate details. Men, on the other hand, were seen as victims of fate, trapped in the moment and their emotions, unable to see beyond the immediate dangers. But there were those who were able to look beyond the present and plan several steps ahead. They seemed to defy fate, to approximate the gods in their ability to determine the future. The comparison is still valid. Those among us who think further ahead and patiently bring their plans to fruition seem to have a godlike power. Understand, everyone around you is a strategist angling for power, all trying to promote their own interests, often at your expense. Your daily battles with them make you lose sight of the only thing that really matters: victory in the end, the achievement of greater goals, lasting power. Grand strategy is the art of looking beyond the battle and calculating ahead. Grand strategy has three main principles. The more you can incorporate these principles into your plans, the better the results. The first one, begin with the end in mind. Having clear objectives was crucial to Napoleon. He visualized his goals in intense detail. At the beginning of a campaign, he could see the last battle clearly in his mind. Examining a map with his aides, he would point to the exact spot where it would end. A ridiculous prediction, it might seem, since not only is war in any period subject to change and to whatever the enemy comes up with to surprise you, but the maps of Napoleon's era were notoriously unreliable. Yet time and again his predictions would prove uncannily correct. He would also visualize the campaign's aftermath, the signing of the treaty, its conditions, how the defeated Russian Tsar or Austrian Emperor would look, and exactly how the achievement of this particular goal would position Napoleon for his next campaign. We often imagine that we generally operate by some kind of plan, that we have goals we are trying to reach, but we are usually fooling ourselves. What we have are not goals, but wishes. Our emotions infect us with hazy desire. We want fame, success, security, something large and abstract. This haziness unbalances our plans from the beginning and sets them on a chaotic course. What have distinguished all history's grand strategists, and can distinguish you too, are specific, detailed, focused goals. The second one, control your emotions. The successes grand strategy brings you in your first campaigns may have the same effect on you that easy victory on the battlefield gives a general. Drunk on triumph, you may lose the sense of realism and proportion on which your future moves depend. Even such supreme grand strategists as Julius Caesar and Napoleon eventually fell victim to this dynamic. Losing their sense of reality, they began to believe that their instincts were infallible. The greater the victory, the greater the danger. As you get older, as you move to your next campaign, you must retrench, strain doubly hard to rein in your emotions and to maintain a sense of realism. But remember, the detachment necessary to grand strategy can bring you to a point where you find it hard to act. No matter how far we progress, we remain part animal, and it is the animal in us that fires our strategies, gives them life, animates us to fight without a desire to fight. As history has shown us time and time again, we cannot win the war. The third one, plan for the bad endings. Most people believe that they are in fact aware of the future, that they are planning and thinking ahead. They are usually deluded. What they are really doing is succumbing to their own desires, to what they want the future to be. Their plans are vague, based on their imaginations rather than reality. They may believe that they are thinking all the way to the end, but they are really only focusing on the happy ending and deluding themselves by the strength of their desire. So much of power is not what you do, but what you do not do. Plan in detail before you act. Do not let vague plans lead you into trouble. Will this have unintended consequences? Will I stir up new enemies? Will someone else take advantage of my labors? Unhappy endings are much more common than happy ones. Do not be swayed by the happy endings in your mind. Reversal. It is a cliche among strategists that your plan must include alternatives and have a degree of flexibility. That is certainly true. If you are locked into a plan too rigidly, you will be unable to deal with sudden shifts of fortune. Most people, however, lose less from over-planning and rigidity than from vagueness and a tendency to improvise. There is no real purpose in contemplating a reversal to this law then, for no good can come from refusing to think far into the future and planning to the end. If you are clear and far-thinking enough, you will understand that the future is uncertain and that you must be open to adaptation. Only having a clear objective and a far-reaching plan allows you that freedom.